What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my brother here.
In the words of Nas, it's been a long time coming. We are back 2025. Mr. DJ, aka also the most charismatic man. Thank you for having me again, bro. Always appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Now, typically, I rarely ever do topics like this, but being that this is the first quick take of the year, I figured, let's just get back into it with something light. So, we've got an article courtesy of hot97.com which says Soulja Boy calls out Marlon Wayans in Twitter rant. The article goes on to say Soulja Boy had some words for comedian Marlon Wayans. In a X, formerly Twitter rant, the rapper calls Wayans a he says, Marlon Wayans, you a and you not funny. Shut up, keep selling your soul and the higher up. The comments seemingly stems from when Wayans shared his opinion on Soulja Boy performing at Donald Trump's inauguration event. Marlon said, I mean, Soulja, he been canceled. Nobody canceled Soulja Boy, the actor told 101 The Wiz about the performance. So Soulja Boy better go and get that check. He don't care. He also suggested that Soulja may have not been aware that he agreed to perform for Trump. He said, I think they thought it was a Bitcoin event and they found out it was a ball for him and it was too late to pull out. But that's why you got to check the fine print. In response to the Twitter rant, Wayans clapped back at the rapper, tweeting, says the coon that jumped over the moon. The back and forth continued as Soulja then tweeted, you a 50-year-old black man that dressed up like a white who really the coon. Uh so yeah, I mean, all right, so before I give my thoughts on this, what is your takeaway or what is your immediate thoughts on the back and forth between Marlon Wayans and Soulja Boy?
Man, Marlon Wayans can't catch a break. First it was him and DJ Vlad. Now it's him and Soulja Boy. Now, my opinion is going to be this because I've seen a lot of people criticizing rappers. I think it was 50 Cent, Soulja Boy now, and a couple others who performed for Donald Trump. Now, politics aside here, I think anybody lambasting or criticizing an artist for performing and getting paid for it is ridiculous because at the end of the day, these people have bills just like we do, just like everybody else do. They have a livelihood that they got to maintain. So I can't criticize Soulja Boy for performing for Donald Trump because whether you like him or you hate him, he is the president. And when you're a rapper, it's all about getting your name out there, your platform out there. Not that Soulja Boy needs it, but he also gets to share his platform and who he is to people who may not know who he is. So I think Marlon Wayans, I think I understand the point he's coming from, but at the same time, Soulja Boy is not the rapper to play with. We all know this dude pays attention. He keeps his ear to the ground, as we both know. One of our quick takes featuring Soulja Boy, he gave you a shout out on that. But I think Soulja Boy is he's defensive because for the longest time, he's always been criticized for his rap skills, for his what he's done for the rap community. And yeah, it's funny him and Marlon Wayne going back and forth, but I do think this does open up a discourse because a lot of people are picking sides in this, obviously. But I don't think Soulja Boy is wrong for standing his ground because people often clown him. Yeah, he may not be, as popping as he was in 2008 when he did Crank That and all his hits. But at the same time, he's still Soulja Boy. We know he is. Our generation and younger has an idea of who Soulja Boy is. And, Marlon Wayans is not wrong for his opinion. But again, I think certain things don't really need to be said. I think attacking Soulja Boy, whether he meant to do it in a harmful way or not, Soulja Boy is not the guy to play with. So if you say something about him, especially when you're a public figure, he's going to hear about it and he's going to clap back at you. So I'll say this too because I do hear, Cat Williams in a famous interview with Shannon Sharp. He talked about that same thing about comedians and black men wearing dress. Um, I'm not gonna get too involved in that. Me personally, look,
Mhm.
sometimes people will have their feelings about black people doing black men wearing dresses to make their career successful. But like I said, if you're gonna come at somebody, just don't be a Soulja Boy, because if you do, he's gonna have some jokes for you.
Right. Now, shout out to Soulja Boy, man. Shout out to SBZ, man. You know what I'm saying? Now, so here are my thoughts on this shit, right? Because I do like Marlon Wayans too. Don't get me wrong. I think first of all, in that interview, because I got a chance to see the clip, right? The interviewer at the radio station didn't even mention Soulja Boy. So I don't know why Soulja Boy came to mind out of the small list of people that she mentioned that actually did perform at that Trump inauguration event or whatever it was. So it felt more so like a personal attack on Soulja Boy rather than Trump or the event itself or him even answering the question. I feel like he wanted an opportunity to say some shit about Soulja Boy, and that was his opportunity to do so. So I feel like he kind of really shouldn't even be surprised or be mad at what Soulja Boy has to say because you mentioned his name first. Now I'm all about that. The thing is, if I'm not bothering nobody, if I'm not saying or doing anything to you, I'm going to be extra offended at the fact that you said something or did something to me when I didn't even do anything to solicit your attack on me in the first place because you fucking started it. So it's like, don't make the problem about me or my response when I wouldn't even be saying anything to you or about you if you didn't mention my name first. And it's like you said, we all know who Soulja Boy is now or his persona now, which is kind of more so revolved around conflict rather than music. So when you hear Soulja Boy's name in the media, it usually has to do with him calling somebody out. But I will say, I guess maybe other than Drake, usually if he's saying something about somebody, it's because they had his name in their mouth first. So that's my thing. Marlon also did say in the interview that we're already divided enough, I guess, as far as, like politics and shit like that. I guess we're already divided amongst black people enough. And really, we didn't need Marlon Wayans to say that because that's really obvious now, just the social racial climate, in America. So I do feel like it's hypocritical of him to kind of go out of his way to attack somebody who's a lot younger than him. When, if anything, if he had an issue about that, I feel like maybe he should have went on Instagram Live or his own platform, whatever it is that he has to kind of talk about that and the importance of, I guess, not supporting Trump or performing at his events. I don't know, but I just don't think like you can't say, "Oh, black people, we're divided and we need to come together." And then the first opportunity you get, you attack somebody else. And then when you look at the insults that they're hurling back and forth at each other, in my opinion, is really immature because these guys are in their mid 30s. Oh, as a matter of fact, no, Soulja Boy is in his mid 30s, and I don't even know how old Marlon Wayans is, but I'm pretty sure
Like
Marlon Wayans,
50.
he's
He's
50.
50.
Yeah, so
Yep.
it's like, because if I'm Marlon Wayans, it's like, listen, if I was asked that same question, that's their business. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're not allowed to perform at an event that you're getting paid for. I don't even think that, and I mean, maybe it does because for some of these artists, some of these entertainers, it's just a check for them. It's not even that serious. I don't think that speaks to their political beliefs or views in any way, shape, or form. Or maybe it does, but at the end of the day, that's their business. Especially if even if I'm in my mid 30s or 50s, what another artist does with their time, I don't really care. It's about what I got going on, over here. My opinion on or my feelings about them performing for Trump is not going to bring us any closer or more than or move the needle forward as far as black people are concerned at the end of the day. And I do think a back and forth between Soulja Boy or yeah, back and forth between him and Soulja Boy or back and forth with Soulja Boy is beneath him. And I mean in the terms of his longevity in entertainment in Hollywood in the industry. You know what I'm saying? Like Marlon Wayans goes way back. So it's like you have no business going back and forth with Soulja Boy because it does nothing for you. Because I feel like between the two of them, it makes Marlon Wayans look bad because I feel like he's kind of stooping down to a certain level to have that type of back and forth with him. Because my thing is this: if I'm Marlon Wayans and I gotta be for Soulja Boy, you got all this stuff to say about me, right? I'll just call you or FaceTime you and see if you're gonna say that straight up. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't even really be with the back and forth on the internet. Because it's either, all right, are we going to do something about this or are we not? If we're not, then what's the point in even doing that? Talking about, who's sucking who or who got molested by this and, you've been canceled and you're irrelevant. It was like, if I'm so irrelevant, then why are you talking to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not a good look on either side of the spectrum, but particularly Marlon Wayans because he's 20 or almost 20 years older than Soulja Boy. So
Yeah.
I just don't think like it's conducive, period. I mean, it probably helps Soulja because this is what he's really known for anyway. I think, because I would say, yeah, I'm a fan of Soulja Boy's older music and that older era. I don't really listen to him now, but I think, ever since that whole Tyga, Drake, he's basically played into that persona. Because I don't even think Soulja Boy is even really like that behind closed doors. Like, I don't think he's really yelling and kicking and screaming like he does on camera. I feel like that's just, what I'm saying? Like, how it's like who an artist is in public is not who they are behind closed doors. Like how Martin Lawrence, everybody knows Martin Lawrence to be this out there extroverted guy on camera, but then he's even gone on record to say, yo, I'm not like that in real life. He's like, yo, I'm quiet, I'm more reserved, laid back type of dude. So I feel like for Soulja Boy, this just feeds, the fire to keep his name out. Because like I said, we don't when we talk about Soulja Boy, we don't really talk about his music now. We talk about him in terms of conflict and maybe some sort of business that he might have going on. Like before I let you go, it's like Lil Yachty said something about Soulja Boy on Club Shay Shay, and Soulja Boy got mad. That helps Soulja Boy's brand because again, this is how we know him now. But the thing is, it's the same type of situation. Soulja Boy wasn't talking about Lil Yachty before this. As far as I know, they were kind of like fake friends. They weren't really cool with each other. It's kind of like this underlying tension between the two of them that stems from shit that happened back in like 2016 or fucking 17. But it's again, you can't blame me for saying something about you if you said something to me first. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I gotta, I'm not gonna lie, the quick take you did with me about Soldier Boy about 2 years ago, it opened my eyes about Soldier Boy because I was one of those people. I never clowned him or anything, but I always thought, yeah, his time is up, and it is what it is. But you made me think about his impact because even though yes, his music is 15 plus years old, people still listen to it, and if you hear it, you're going to jump to it, and there's going to be some part of you, whether you're still a kid right now or you're older, that kid in you is going to revert back to those days of crank that, right? And I think Soldier Boy is an easy target because a lot of people look at him as a has been. He was a guy who had his claim to fame, but he's not like Drake who has 15 plus years of hits. But one of the things about Soldier Boy you can't deny is he's not a one hit wonder. There
No.
are people out there, and we've seen it with Hurricane Chris when he went at 50 Cent. We've seen how that went. But Soldier Boy is not like that. And he's smart. He understands I got to move with the times. So yes, he
Mm-hmm.
might be someone known now to a lot of people as a guy who goes after people, but he's also a guy who doesn't start trouble. I've never seen anybody, or I've never seen the headline Soldier Boy said this and started a beef. I've never seen that.
Except with Drake. For some reason, I don't know. For some reason, he keeps on like attacking Drake. I don't know if it's because he wants a response or some shit like that, but it just seems like like just the other day he was like, "Oh, Drake, you a bitch," on Twitter. Again, I don't know. It could be some behind the scenes stuff. I have no idea, but continue.
I've seen something. I'm not gonna speculate, but I also one of the things I've learned watching these podcasts with rappers and not so much actors, but a lot of rappers. There's a lot of industry stuff that happens behind closed doors that we don't hear about until people bring it up. Even comedians, like I said, the Cat Williams infamous interview, and I watched the interview with Lil Yachty, and he spoke on a lot of things that I think open a lot of people's eyes. People don't know how these industry work. They just see the artists, the flashy jewelry, the women, the cars, the houses, and they think, oh, this is a lavish life, but there's a lot that goes into it. And I'm sure in 2025, people will criticize and making fun of Soldier Boy. And I think, he's just tired of people playing with him. And I don't blame him because yes, he might not be, like I said, he might not be Drake of 2025, but he has a career. He had a successful career, especially when he was a younger artist. And it's the same discourse I see about Bow Wow. Yes, Bow Wow hasn't made a hit in 10 plus years, but you can't discredit his legacy and his work. And so, like this whole thing with Marlon, I don't understand why he went at Soulja Boy again. I know Soulja Boy's an easy
Because
target.
yeah, let me tell you why. And if I was Soulja Boy, or if I was just me and Marlon Wayans just came out of nowhere and said something about me, you know what I would say to him? Like, nigga, if you don't like me, just say that. Just fucking say that. Don't talk about how irrelevant I am, or when you sent me a promo for your one of your movies in the DM, that was before I was dead, because that's what he said. That's what he said to Soldier. He was like, "Oh, that's from when you was semi relevant before you was dead." So that just means, yo, everything you had to say about me had more to do with you not fucking with me and my music rather than like whatever the fucking question was in the first place. So this is why I say that if you're a real dude, you'll see that, yeah, Marlon, this has nothing to do with Trump. This has everything to do with you just don't fuck with me like that. Which is fine, but just say that. Just fucking say that. You know what I mean? And then again, it's like, yo, if I'm so irrelevant, why are you having a back and forth with me? Period. That just speaks to the fact that, yo, I'm actually relevant enough for you to mention my name, and the interviewer didn't even mention my name. Because the interviewer said, I think like 50 Cent and like somebody else, and then whoever the fuck else was performing at that Trump shit. I think wasn't Snoop Dogg there too, and Snoop Dogg
Snoop
caught a lot of
Dogg,
flack
50
for that.
Cent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's what I'm saying. But out of everybody, you mentioned Soulja Boy, because and it's like you said, it's because he's an easy target. Because it's like, you know what? I know I can't say anything about 50 Cent because there might really be some smoke there. I'm not going to say anything about Snoop Dogg because there might be some smoke there. But I'm going to say something about Soulja Boy for whatever fucking reason because you think that he's an easy target because he's a lot younger than you. You probably don't think that it's probably going to really escalate anywhere. So you're going to say some shit about him. And it's just like, yo, like, that makes you look even worse because it's like, what do I look like picking on the little guy? And I'm not saying Soldier Boy's little guy, but I'm just making a point. Like I'm gonna start with the nigga that's 20 years younger than me instead of the nigga that's my age. That's really gonna probably pull up on me on some shit. You know what I mean? Like, because imagine if Marlon Wayans said, "Oh, 50 Cent been canceled. 50 Cent, is a coon for performing for Trump. 50 Cent probably didn't even know it was a Trump event because he's so stupid." What do you think 50 Cent would have said to him?
Oh yeah.
Oh, but you're gonna pick on Soldier Boy. And again, I'm just judging this not from the standpoint of being, a Soldier Boy fan of his older music, obviously, or not from the standpoint of me being biased. I'm just looking at it from like just being objective, being distant and judging this from a situation of if I wasn't a fan of Soldier Boy and I wasn't a fan of Marlon Wayans and I was told the situation, so what are my thoughts? And that's how I feel about this shit. Because yeah, if I was Soldier, I'm like, nigga, why are you saying some shit about me? You know what I mean? And then again, like Marlon started posting DMs about Soldier Boy, I guess, hitting him up asking him to get put in a movie. Like, and he asked him a couple of times. He was like, "Yo, put me in a movie, big bro," some shit like that. So it's just like, yo, if it's like if you guys really fuck with each other, then squash it. Then just say that. But if you don't fuck with each other, then say that also. Don't because I think it's corny. It's like don't have this back and forth. Calling each other like homophobic slurs and saying all types of wild shit about each other for you to squash it next week. For you to squash it next week. Because if you're saying that Soldier Boy is the coon that jumped over the moon, then you're also saying the same thing about 50 Cent too. I'm just saying. Because Soldier
And
Boy was
Snoop
like,
Dogg.
yeah, and Snoop Dogg. Because it's like Soldier Boy, and even Soldier said he was like, yo, like, oh, this is all entertainment. I'll still do a movie with you. It's like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna say anything about you that's wild out of pocket, knowing deep down inside in the back of my mind that I'd also be willing to squash it with you too. If you wanted to squash it, then I would squash it. It's like, so why even take it there? Is it
Right.
because like for a buzz and this is like a fake beef? I don't know, but I just think that I think that is corny, and I do think that Marlon Wayans should kind of stop the whole when you was relevant and all that because it's not like Soldier Boy is no shade to Hurricane Chris, but like a Hurricane Chris or VIC from that era where these niggas had one song, two songs, and then they didn't survive. They didn't even make it to 2010 because they came out in 2007, 2008. That was their peak, and then they were gone. Versus Soldier Boy, he's still been around. And for y'all listening, yeah, go back and listen to the quick take we did years ago where I said why Soldier Boy is one of the goats. Soldier Boy doesn't
Right.
have to come out with new records and shit like that because he's reached that point now where he doesn't have anything to prove. Bow Wow doesn't have anything to prove. 50 Cent doesn't have anything to prove. They're already established. They're already like I won't even say like artists, but they're just like fixtures in the industry. They're permanent fixtures at that. You know, Snoop Dogg is still going to be Snoop Dogg if he never comes out with an album ever again. They can, but they don't have to. Jay-Z is a permanent fixture in hip hop culture. Why? Because he's already established himself. If he never comes out with an album ever again, he can still tour the entire world on his catalog. Soulja Boy still does shows. He still comes out with new music. Yeah, it might not be Kiss Me Through the Phone or Turn My Swag On or fucking Crank That or Pretty Boy Swag. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. I think he now makes music for the market of people that still fucks with his music. I might not be in it anymore. I don't think he makes music for me anymore. I don't relate to the type of music that he makes, but it still appeals to somebody. Just like Marlon Wayans. When was the last time Marlon Wayans came out with a film that was white chicks level or
I could
scary movie level that like we know of? Just
I couldn't
because
tell you.
hold on real quick, just because he doesn't have a daily sitcom that comes on Friday nights at 8 o'clock like the Wayans brothers, does that mean he's a has-been or that he's not relevant? No. Marlon Wayans still goes around and does mad comedy shows all across the fucking country, probably around the world too. Just because I don't go to those shows, does that mean that I get to say that he's a has-been or that he's not relevant? Get the fuck out of here. When you become a Marlon Wayans, when you become a Soulja Boy, nigga, you're always going to be that to somebody somewhere around the world where you can make money for yourself and create business for yourself. So why they're attacking each other, to me, I think it's just corny when it's just like y'all should be spending that same energy doing something positive. And you know what I don't like? This is what I don't like. And I'm just thinking critically about the situation because again I'm not a dick rider, so I'm not gonna just be on some fuck Marlon Wayans or fuck Soulja Boy because I agree with this nigga or that nigga. No, it's like I'm just gonna be critical of both people so listeners can have a takeaway from this shit. You can't pick and choose when to be a positive, upstanding black man or woman or citizen. You feel me? You can't say, I want my people to come together. I want to see black people thrive and black businesses and all that shit. But then like you use that same energy you use to say that statement, you use your words to bring the next black person down. Just as easily, just as quickly. That's fucking corny to me. You can't pick and choose when to be a role model or a positive person. You know what I'm saying? Like and the reason why I'm saying that is because in that interview, if I heard correctly, that's what he said. He talked about divisiveness amongst black people. You're perpetuating divisiveness right now because there are so many people that look up to Soulja Boy. There's so many people that look up to Marlon Wayans. And when these same people see two black people going back and forth, then they're gonna say, "Oh, then it's okay for me to attack the next black man or woman in my life directly if they provoke me to do so." Because
Right.
I personally, me right now, it's like I'm really not quick to engage in conflict, period. I'm not saying that like I'm gonna shy away from it, but like let's say I don't do that. Because I'd rather engage in healthy dialogue. Or I'd rather like just not speak to somebody if I feel like they're gonna try to, bring the fucking worst out of me. But that's just because of what I know, especially when it comes to black people anyway. Nor do I give off energy to make somebody want to come at me anyway. So it's like I don't really have those problems because I don't do that to people. I don't start shit, nor do I give off some type of energy where a nigga would, fucking want to say some shit about me. And if they did, that's an indictment on them, not me. Because in reality, Soulja Boy should take comfort in knowing that what Marlon Wayans said about him in the first place was an indictment on Marlon Wayans, not him. Because you said that I've been canceled, nigga, you talking about me. Still. They didn't even bring me up. That's like if they say, Dimitri, what do you think about Damson Idris and John Boyega? They haven't really done any big movies lately. What are your thoughts on that? And I say, well, fucking that actor Percy Brown, I ain't seen him in shit either. So that he been canceled. It's like, yo, they shouldn't even mention you. Didn't
Yep.
even ask me about you. So what does that say about you if I brought you up without, you know what I'm saying? Like your name even having to be mentioned. And I'm talking about how irrelevant you are and how canceled you are. So you have to
Right.
look at you have to look at this situation from that objective lens, and really Marlon should really kind of it's like yo, like you're a goat of this shit. Not even in comedy, but just like prominent black figures. You know what I'm saying? And it's like as long as I've known Marlon Wayans, he's always been a positive dude and positive, upstanding dude. When you listen to his interviews, he's an upstanding guy. So it's like don't lose sight of the pedestal that you stand on in the minds of a lot of people. Now I'm not saying like I particularly pedestalize him, but I have a great deal of respect for him and every black man that has had made a success of himself doing something positive out of his passions. So it's like
Right.
why waste that? Because frankly, it's like the difference between Soulja Boy and Marlon Wayans is that as far as I've seen so far, Marlon has been doing positive things with himself. And I'm not saying that Soulja Boy, hasn't, but again, Soulja Boy is making too much out of conflict, even if he's the one that is being picked on, if you get what I'm saying. And that's not his fault.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that people should make good on their aspirations for black people. So if you're gonna be the type of person that's gonna say, yeah, I want black people to come together, black businesses and black people, should come together so that way, our lives will be better in the United States. If somebody were to say some shit like that, it's like cool, but then don't in that same fucking breath call the next black person out of their fucking name. Or start some shit with somebody unsolicited if they didn't say anything to you first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'll say this because as you was talking, I was thinking about this. These conversations really open my eyes because it really proves my point on the fact that people like to use this whole pro-black or whatever minority is, but for the sake of this conversation, pro-black. They like to speak pro-black, but then they'll go back and tear down another black man. And the reason why that is, and this goes back to the names we mentioned, Soulja Boy, Snoop Dogg, and 50 Cent. What do these three have in common? They're successful. But what are two things or two reasons why 50 Cent and Snoop Dogg aren't getting called out the same way Soulja Boy is? One, they're two black men with a large platform. And two, they can give you opportunities. 50 Cent can put you on a show. That's a steady paycheck.
Yeah. Oh
Snoop Dogg
shit.
has a lot of connections. He can hook you up. And so I think with Marlon, and this goes back to the whole, musicians, performing for, whoever people don't like. People only criticize others when they can't benefit from them.
Yep.
So it doesn't suit Marlon. And again, I'm not mad at Marlon or criticize him, but if he went on there and said anything bad about 50 Cent or Snoop Dogg, guarantee you he will see a lot of opportunities fade away because they're well connected. Soldier Boy isn't going to affect his bottom line or his work because one, Soldier Boy doesn't have that same profile, and two, he's in a separate industry, so he could go at Soldier Boy. He's not going to lose work in TV, film, or comedy. But if he did that
That's
against
true.
Snoop Dogg or 50 Cent, he will find some pushback at some point. So I
Yeah.
think really these conversations just annoy me because like you said, you'll see people talking about, oh yeah, man, we gotta stop tearing each other down. But then the most viewed stuff are people in our community tearing each other down. So like,
Yep. Yep.
again, I don't hate Marlon, and I know people like to say, "Oh, you 50 years old, act the age." Look, I know he's a comedian, and comedians don't really have the same mind of thinking as the average person. They can be 55 still acting like a kid because comedy is a very youthful, medium form. But like you said, I think Marlon, I don't think these beats and stuffs is what he needs at his age.
No.
When you're 50 years old, you have kids or you have a family and you have a lifelong family established in the entertainment industry. You don't need these little petty beefs. You don't need to be talking about what other people are doing. I don't pocket watch. I don't care about what anybody does because at the end of the day, we all got bills. The same people criticizing Soldier Boy, oh, he performing for Donald Trump. You telling me you're going to turn down a huge bag and potential and millions of people watching you perform because you don't like the guy? No, business is business. Entertainment is entertainment. You think Jay-Z, Beyonce, Drake, Lil Wayne, Kendrick, you think they're gonna turn down any opportunity to make money Yes, some people might, but those people tend to be ones that are very financially independent. They don't have to worry about it. But even then, if you're pushing a product, if you're pushing your music or you're pushing something, any platform, especially when you're getting paid, is a platform. And you know how to separate business from entertainment. So, again, I think Soulja Boy, people like to criticize him because of all the beefs that he gets into. But again, it's not like he's out here starting himself. He's not starting them himself. Yeah, he might call out Drake. That's a whole nother situation. But at the end of the day, Soulja Boy is just a guy trying to, find his new lane, find what works for him. And when you call him out, you should know he's going to respond. So, I can't blame him because at the end of the day, not everybody's gonna let you talk down on them. And Shannon Sharp talked about that, where people after the Cat Williams interview, when he didn't, publicly address a lot of people, people was calling him all types of names, the F word, a coon, sellout, all this stuff. And then he finally addressed it. Soldier Boy is not someone who's gonna let it roll over until the point where now you can't control it. So,
Well,
you know,
well,
my final thought, real quick, before I let you go, is I know these beefs and stuff is fun. Don't get me wrong. I always enjoy a good troll. Soulja Boy is a good troll. He knows how to make jokes, and he hits you at the juggler. I ain't gonna lie. He hits low. But at the end of the day, if you don't want that smoke and if you don't want that, don't get involved. And if you are gonna be someone like Marlon, not strictly him, but if you are gonna be somebody successful talking about black unity and black power, don't then in the next breath and next sentence criticize another black man. It doesn't make any sense, but that's my thoughts. What about you, man?
I was just gonna say, yeah, as we speak, Marlon just responded to Soldier Boy, who basically called, his, I guess he has a child that's transgender, the F word. I'm not even gonna say it on here. But and he said, you can get canceled for transphobic slander like this. He said, fortunately for you, that you don't have a career. Apparently, you've been canceled for the last 17 years. Crank That was 2007. We waiting. Man, like I said, like I think what do they say? It's like when you try to make sense out of nonsense, you stupid too. Or when you get in a shit slinging contest, everybody just ends up covered in shit. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, I think like a year from now, this whole back and forth, the both of them are gonna just like either like laugh about it and be like, yeah, that was fucking stupid. Because I'm younger than the both of them, and I'm mature enough to realize that, yeah, like this is stupid. Because if I have the success and materials that Marlon has or Soldier Boy has, you're not gonna see me on fucking Twitter going back and forth about shit that's inconsequential. Nigga feels that way about me, that's his fucking business. I really don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about me. I'm not saying shit about him. But anyway, shout out to the both of them. They both have my respect nonetheless. I just again, I'm the person that's going to ask questions and challenge people to think rather than feel. So, on that note, what are your thoughts? Please be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Crank that.
You.